Hey everyone, buddy and pal Karnik, Serenity Wargaming and Explanations. We're looking at Triumphant today. Triumphant, if you can't tell, is a vendor title. The bottom left-hand corner of the card will show the ship icon there. Of course, the art there is looking good. Opposite corner from the bottom left to the right, we'll see the faction icon and its point cost. This is for the Republic and it's 5 points. We'll get into why reading the upgrade card like I always do, giving just a quick this is how it works, then dive into any additional details or key points about the upgrade, and then of course talk about potentially where this can fit into your fleet or not fit into your fleet. There's some pros and cons to this upgrade card for sure. Okay, let's read it. So Triumphant, you'll see there's a little dot or bullet point in front of its name, signifies that it is unique. You can only bring one Triumphant in your fleet. The card reads, while another friendly non-flotilla ship resolves a squadron command, up to 3 squadrons without adept that it activates can be at close range of you, even if the squadrons are beyond close to medium range of that ship. This effect is not active during the first round. In a nutshell, how does this card work? Okay, so just say Triumphant is on a table, it's someplace, it's very similar to Center Core for the Empire, if you've utilized that upgrade card at all. In that another ship, it's activating, it's revealing a squadron command, it's doing the squadron command. It's able to, just like kind of like relay, instead of doing it just from itself, it can go to Triumphant and say, okay, what's that close range of Triumphant? We've got some squadrons here. I am activating these squadrons then, and these squadrons are able to activate and do things, even though they're not at close to medium range of the ship that's activating them. So there's a lot of words in there that mean a few specific things. But again, in the nutshell, think of Triumphant as a really big relay squadron, is pretty much what it is. In that you can have other ships elsewhere in the play area able to use Triumphant to push squadrons. So, some of the deeper parts of what I want to touch into now is that, again, this only works if the ship that is activating and resolving a squadron command is not a flotilla type ship. So, not Gazantes, not GR-75s. Those are currently the only flotilla types in the game that we have. But if there are other flotilla ship types, this would apply to them as well. So, again, GR-75s and Gazantes, this does not work for them because they are flotilla ships. So any other ship in the game this works for. And again, you have to resolve a squadron command. It doesn't matter if that command is you're doing it with a dial or just only a token. You can do up to 3 squadrons without adept. Okay, very important to clarify that if they have adept, you cannot activate them. If like for example you use an upgrade card that's giving them adept, depending on how the wording of that card goes, maybe you'll be able to activate the squadrons before they gain adept. But essentially, if they have adept or somehow have it when you're trying to activate them, you can't choose them for activation, just to be clear on that. Again, you can only choose 3 squadrons, so you can do 1 or 2 or 3. You can't do any more than that. Even if the ship has the ability to activate more squadrons, say they have a squad value of 5, they can only do 3 at close range of Triumphant. And again, when you're ranging from Triumphant, you're measuring from the plastic. You're not measuring from the cardboard because it's not an attack. So you can measure from the plastic base, don't include the shield dials or the shield frames, but you can measure anywhere around Triumphant. And again, if those squadrons, are at close range, you can activate them. Again, the wording of even if they are beyond close medium range of that ship, when it's saying that ship, it means that ship that is activating, that is now trying to activate squadrons. That's what that means. It's the same wording as what's for relay for the relay squadrons. So it's just being consistent. So I've had some people try to say, not understanding like why it says all that. And like it's just for consistency purposes. And the final part is again, Triumphant does not work during the first round. And a lot of people will be like, why is that? What's the purpose for all this? And I can't dive into playtesting. Just know that there's reasons, and I was part of a part where a version of this card was just like it was really strong, and so I feel like for 5 points, this still offers a bit of versatility. I do wish it was a little bit more flexible than it is, but it still has uses for 5 points. It's still hard to justify not taking one of the other vendor titles though. But we're I have seen some uses of Triumphant is, you're building a supporting fleet around your vendor, especially if you are doing like if your commander is like Bale, or maybe Yularen or something like that. Um, I've seen some cases for Tarkin, but I've mainly seen it with Bale, where Bale is handing out dials. If you've got a bunch of like peltas in support, like if you are bringing like medical frigate peltas, which are able to comsnet or projection experts, or if you are doing what's Bale's the dials Bale's give again. Bale can do navigation and repair. So where I have seen is like medical frigate peltas that are revealing squadron commands, but then also get the repair commands from Bale. So they are able to help push some squadrons that are near Triumphant while also like projection experting and then also comms netting. It's just like, there's uses. There's viable uses for Triumphant. You just kind of have to really prepare and build for it. Um, where you're not going to get a lot of value of Triumphant is things like the consulars, or you could if you're bringing like Yavarlin and you have the squadron tokens. Because of the commander Yarlin, the admiral, if you spend a squadron token, you get a bonus squadron to activate for free. So you could push with consulators, flying around, being able to chuck 2 squadrons per activation. I've seen that to varying mix of results of success, especially with the Chargers. Like the Chargers throwing all those red dice and they're throwing 2 squadrons at things. Pros and cons for all of that. Um, and again, the part about the effect not being active for the first round, that by and large is likely due to hyperspace rings. Where those? Yeah, the hyperspace rings. So the fact that you could throw squadrons pretty much anywhere on the board, that's probably something to do with that would be my best guess. Somehow something being like pushed or thrown in a way that wasn't maybe in line with what was the intent or purpose of the card, but you could still get some benefit with hyperspace rings. I feel like with Triumphant as well, and other things pushing. But the biggest one I have seen is this like Venator Acclimator double combo. And I have Triumphant on a Venator 1. Honestly, Triumphant is best on a Venator 2. And that is because of the defensive retrofit you can throw on there. But the biggest, and even though you're bringing a Venator 2 again for all the squadron pushing capability, again, what I've seen is an acclimator, a supporting acclimator. Maybe it's got, Ahsoka Tano on there, the officer, which is giving squadron snipes, which again, it's up to 3, so that fits perfectly with Triumphant. You've got flight controllers, you get Navuta B on there. So not only are you able to activate any of the squadrons that you see here, because none of these have adapt. So you got Axe, Kickback, regular V19s, Oddball, the ARC 170s or Y Wings. So Ahsoka doesn't work with the unique squadrons, right? But you could, for example, do 3 torrents, and so they've got the if they're getting sniped, so they're getting 3 dice, and then they're being backed by flight controllers, which is going to be 4, and you're able to go up and snipe things. I've seen folks use Y Wings. They get the 2 blue for snipe from Ahsoka, and then they get the flight controller, so it's still 3 die, and then they still have swarm coming on from Navuta B. So you're getting re-rolling snipe capability. I've seen that work really well. Or even for the ARC 170s, even though they're only speed 2, speed 2, and then they're able to snipe out the distance 2. I mean, I've seen a variety of combination of squadrons work here that seems to be really effective. Because then you follow up with a later activation with your Venator 2 because it has a higher squadron count. then throwing like the rest of your squadron ball in. So you kind of start by throwing your slower moving squadrons in, like your Y wings and your Arc 170s, just because they'll have that snipe ability to kind of pick out a few things, and then you throw your faster squadrons in with your main activation push. So that's some things to consider. Seeing things where I've seen some effectiveness, and kind of having that acclimator being your flight controller boat. It seems to that seems to work. If you're not wanting your Venator to be sucked up with pushing squadrons, maybe you want to kit it out to be like more of a brawler and anti-ship killing capability rather than focusing on pushing squadrons. There's pros and cons to all these kinds of approaches. But that's Triumphant. There's nothing crazy going on here. It's a support title. Again, I like the fact that it's like, you're wanting to bring a Venator that can actually kill other ships rather than all trying to kill ships and push squadrons and do this. Like sometimes these Venators get stuck in this trap where like you're trying to make them do everything, but then when it blows up, like you lose your ability to then do anything else. So you can really focus on kitting your Venator for survivability and like killing stuff rather than also trying to push squad. Like I said, I could go on forever about like the intricacies of like Republic and like trying to make things work. Because this kind of combination it works with a variety of commanders. I mainly seal it with Bale, but you could definitely make reasonable justification for all of the Republic's commanders for one reason or another, just depending on how you want to kit your fleet. But let me know where you have seen success with Triumphant. Have you played against it? Have you seen somebody use this to really great effectiveness? Leave some comments. Maybe point out some other things that I didn't touch on or cover in the video that you have, again, seen or discovered. Well, appreciate you watching, and hey, I'll catch you next time. Quick shout out to the sponsors of the channel. Firstly, to Otherworld Events. Regardless if you're needing assistance for event managing, planning, organizing, how to even start, or just need specific ideas for what it is you're doing that you already have a plan for, Otherworld Events can help you out. Second, to Admiral Tater Ship Shop. Admiral Tater Ship Shop, while specializing in Star Wars Armada miniature items, also has X-Wing and Legion items. If you're looking to really get some great looking acrylics on the table, whether it be holders for your upgrade cards or tokens or acrylic tokens, and most importantly you just want a perfect range ruler with no flaws or errors in it that's going to give you exact measurements every time, highly recommend Admiral Tater. It's the range rulers I use at tournaments. I know they're cut perfectly, they're going to range perfectly, and I'm going to get that best measurement every single time. Also, just look at everything they have available.